YNW Melly's beginning to show a lot more emotion during trial. Through facial reactions and emotions, it's very clear the trial has been hard for him. However, it wasn't until the recent snitching evidence that affected YNW Melly the absolute most. Here's what you need to know. So before the trial was put on pause due to YNW Melly's lawyer feeling under the weather, YNW Melly's lawyer would ask for another mistrial due to certain evidence the prosecutors wanted to show. As it was announced, YNW Melly's attorney, David Howard, has filed for another mistrial in the rapper's double case. And this is all due to the report of YNW Melly's defense attorney objected to the presentation of text messages between the rapper and his mother in court on Wednesday. He is seen calling his mother words and all sorts of manner of disrespect.
A number of mothers on that jury who may be inclined to convict just because they've heard irrelevant, unrelated conversations between Mr. Demons and his mother, where he's calling her and all sorts and manner of disrespect that is clearly off-putting to any mother. And under the pretext that they're trying to prove this phone belongs and is being used by Mr. Demons, the state is offering in reams and reams, tons and tons of inadmissible evidence that is irrelevant to this case. There's a point at which they sat there for 2 hours showing 530-something photographs.
He does not want these text messages being shown, as it does show YNW Melly in an overall negative light. Another report would even share, "Yes, Mr. Howard, that's exactly what she's doing with these text messages. Trying to paint YNW Melly as a bad person any way that she can, because she knows she doesn't have a strong case. She's taken on more than she can handle, and she can't prove it, so she's using feelings instead of facts." As some believe the prosecutors are trying to show YNW Melly as an overall bad guy for how he talks to his mother in front of the jury. However, some believe these text messages that I'm about to share have a much deeper meaning and even proves that he could be guilty in this case. Melly's text messages are in the green while his mother's are in the blue.
From phone number 9807, why you keep messing with people? What's wrong with you?
Phone number ending in 6942. What are you talking about? I'm not even on no social media. That talking about what she going to do to me, I ain't respond or say anything.
Leave that alone. I'm telling you. You started off.
No, I didn't start anything. Just because you think it's okay for people to call your mom out her name. How is his sister going on social media talking about me in face, my fault?
You started it by testing his mama. It's going to be problems. And not even knowing what you're talking about. You a grown lady doing. Ain't no one telling you to text her. She minding her business, going to work.
It's very clear YNW Melly is frustrated with his mother for bothering his ex-girlfriend, YNW Sakchaser, as well as Sakchaser's sister. However, the start of their issues began with allegedly YNW Sakchaser's sister having an altercation with YNW Melly's mother on social media many years ago, where Sakchaser's sister called out her by her real name and even stated that it's on site when he sees YNW Melly's mother outside, leading into YNW Sakchaser getting involved, which would then even cause YNW Melly to get involved as well. However, YNW Melly's mother felt that she was being singled out by the other three.
She could have called me or texted me back, not have you or daughter all on social media talking about like I at her. I didn't even say one word when I texted her. I said nothing disrespectful and you know it. I wish you took up for me like that when Aunt me out and tried to me. I don't know what's all going on, but making a live video talking about your mother, it's going to make people hate you. That's why I have never and would never do that, because I love you and that's your best friend, and this is not for social media.
You telling everybody my business, and you don't even be right. You the reason they hate me.
No, I'm not your actions I take up for you. I have people telling me your son doesn't care about you or love you. I always say you just finding your way, and I know you love, even though you me and don't see how much I for you every day. I argue with people about talking trash about you, even though people say he would not take up for you like that. I always have your back. Every time you call, I am there. That's your friend, fine. He ain't going nowhere. I see, but you are not going to say everything is my fault.
As this is where YNW Sakchaser would get way too involved. Allegedly, Sakchaser was seen in a Facebook Live calling out YNW Melly's mother to the public, stating again that it's on site. This is then what would cause the famous video of YNW Melly's mother calling out Sakchaser being created. YNW Melly's mom would hop on her own Facebook Live, and she would mention this about YNW Sakchaser.
Show me text messages from Sakchaser, all her friends, and all these people, like he's about this life. But I'm saying, like, who you ever out at? What you ever did? You couldn't even take charge. If you don't sit your down and don't ever come for me, because my credentials is real. It ain't even a joke. So don't ever try to come for me, because I don't even play them type of games. Like, what you got that I ain't got? Oh, you your little. I got big. At the end of the day, Melly is my child.
With firearms now being mentioned during Facebook Lives, YNW Melly knew that he had to step in and calm things down, which is exactly what he would do, as nothing else would be said for around 10 days. This is then when we would see the next set of text messages.
Okay, everyone went home. I love you. Keep doing great music. I'm proud of you. You're my heartbeat. I cry all the time. I miss you so much, but I know I have to let you grow up.
No need to cry. You fit to be a millionaire.
You deserve it. You're so talented. We played your music all night. I love you.
Love you too. I see you be chilling. I love that. Keep doing you. Everything gonna be in place.
YNW Melly was able to cool the situation down. However, this is where it gets strange. It's obvious YNW Melly and his mother made up in that clip, exchanging I love yous to each other and much more. However, it's where YNW Melly says everything's gonna be in place, which gave people on social media a very weird feeling. This is exactly what YNW Melly's lawyers didn't want to happen, and why it didn't want to be shown in the courtroom. As YNW Melly is seen on video stating millions of times his mother Jamie King is the most important thing in his life. While it didn't seem that way in some text messages, the famous line of "if you mess with Melly, you have to deal with Melvin" was actually created from somebody messing with Melly's mother. The family of YNW Juvy know this. This is why they are messing with YNW Melly inside of the courtroom during trial, going at YNW Melly's mother to get reactions by Melly, which is why when the trial started on Tuesday, it was reported before testimony kicked off on Tuesday morning, the court learned YNW Juvy's sister allegedly reached out to YNW Melly's mother, Jamie King, on social media.
What's been going on in the courtroom?
Well, Anjanette, it's been a very interesting morning. It did start off earlier with the defense bringing up an issue. Apparently, Juvy's sister posted on, I guess, one of the social media outlets, and she said that she was going to Jamie King, and so that caused a big, issue in the courtroom. It wasn't anything that we got on tape, but it did happen this morning. It was on the record, and she has a bodyguard now. So that was one of the first issues that the court dealt with this morning, and it was interesting because the judge did basically say, if you needed more security, I can get it for you. Ultimately, it was determined that the security she had, the bodyguard, was going to be enough. So,
as remember earlier, it was Sakchaser's sister causing the issues with Melly's mom. Now it's YNW Juvy's sister doing the same thing. This has now led into YNW Melly's mother, Jamie, now having a security guard with her at all times in and around the courtroom. Allegedly, this affected YNW Melly, making him very concerned for his mother, as after hours of investigation, we would then learn what was truly said between Juvy's sister and Melly's mother.
Now, shout out to Reddit, because we had to do some digging to find the sister. Now, this is the sister, Ashley Monique. And let me show you the post that she had posted on Facebook, because, honey, it was quite the stir. So she posted this screenshot from Jamie King, YNW Melly's mother, and she said, "Pest control, who called about?" Now, that was in regards to a post made by Trayvon Glass on his Instagram page, where he basically said that he's not worried about anything, and if he's come him. So in a nutshell, Melly's mom is calling Trayvon Glass a and Monique replied back and says, a is when you do something wrong and not take responsibility and then go and set somebody up because you're scared to lay down. She goes on to say that's not the case here. Fetty was Juvy's friend, not Melly. He was only around because Juvy brought him. Now in the comments, somebody says she better find something safe to do. Another person replied back and says, very well said. Another person tagged Jamie and somebody else said, come get. Now Ashley was in the comments and says she even has a bodyguard, child. Another person replied and says, yeah, she need one because she's talking like she's 200 pounds and she ain't even pushing 100. Now somebody else posted this and says she's going to need them because she in the wrong city talking. Now, I think that when Melly's defense attorneys found this, they submitted it over to the judge and basically was like, Juvy's sister's out here Melly's mom. Now, the judge did state that if Melly's mom needed security, he would issue her security, and then he found out that she had a bodyguard, and that would be sufficient enough.
The judge in the trial would then grant free security for YNW Melly's mom. When Melly learned about that information from his lawyer, this is when he was seen smiling in the courtroom, almost wiping off tears from his face, as he was very upset in this situation. His lawyers knew this, so this is why it looked like he was offering Melly a hug.
Jury entry.
The trial in general has been taking a toll on YNW Melly's mother. She has spoken out online to reveal that she's been dealing with a lot of stress ever since the trial began. This is even when YNW Melly would comfort her in the courtroom before getting yelled at to stop talking to the crowd.
Sorry.
You'll just. Don't do it.
It's been rumored that due to YNW Melly's mother not handling the case well, it's why his lawyers are now taking the route of making YNW Bortlen look guilty, in other words, snitching. As the snitching occurred after Sergeant Williams' amazing testimony against YNW Melly, where he would share this.
Number, you said 17 outside the car. How many rounds were inside the car?
3.
And can you exclude the for Mr. Williams and Mr. Thomas as coming from outside of the car?
Yes. From the driver's side back seat.
As to the shot that killed Christopher Thomas, where did that emanate from?
Driver's side back seat.
Okay. Is it possible for there to have been 2 inside that car?
No.
Why not?
There is no time.
As he believes YNW Melly is the one that did this crime. The expert's testimony is what will probably convince the jury that Melly is guilty. In doing so, Melly's team still has a lot of hope for the trial, as we would even see YNW Melly's lawyer immediately snitch on Bortlen on their first question to Sergeant Williams.
And you are aware that the person that claimed it was a drug is Cortland Henry.
I believe so. I don't know who said that it was a drive. I was just asked to say if it was a drive.
Okay. And you are aware that when Cortland Henry made this statement that this gentleman was nowhere around, right?
I wasn't part of the initial investigation.
Okay.
So I don't know if that was included in Miramar's investigation with that.
Okay. But what you are saying is whoever claimed was lying.
Was incorrect.
as once again, Melly's lawyers are trying to give reasonable doubt inside of the courtroom to people thinking it was not Melly, trying to put the blame onto YNW Bortlen, trying to paint the picture that it was Bortlen all along. Meanwhile, YNW Melly left before the crime happened. And if you don't believe me, we saw the same thing in their opening argument on day 1 of the YNW Melly trial, where it was reported YNW Bortlen had powder residue on his hands and a change of clothing when he dropped off Sakchaser and Juvy to the hospital. YNW Bortlen and YNW Melly were the only 2 men in the car with them.
Evan's lies, those were his lies. Cortland Henry shows up at Memorial Hospital, Miramar. You don't see him sitting there, but where you will see him sitting is in the driver's seat of a car with 2 bodies, a car riddled with bullets. And when he shows up with a change of clothing, change of shirt, powder residue on his hands, evidencing that he had discharged a firearm. And he lies. He lies about where the incident occurred. He lies about how it occurred. And he lies about not having a phone. I think it was Miss Bradley herself who said, everybody has a phone in his pocket, not Cortland Henry. There were 3 phones.
That is YNW Melly's lawyer, revealing to the jury that Bortlen lied to the feds and he was the one with powder residue on his hands, as he was the one with Sakchaser and Juvy when they went to the hospital. We would even see YNW Bortlen's interview where he was caught lying to detectives during the investigation.
And I'm driving, ducking for my life, trying to make sure I don't get hit. And you telling me, you telling me about shit. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to make sure I don't get hit. I'm driving. I'm trying to make sure I don't get hit. You know what I'm saying? What I'm gonna be worried about? You know what I'm saying?
I know it's not for you to worry about.
Shit crazy, bro.
But if you tell me it happened there's got to be some evidence there. There's going to be broken glass, just like there's broken glass over here from when you guys open the doors and stuff like that. Okay, there's going to be broken glass over there when the windows got out. There's going to be casings from the people at your car. Okay, there's going to be evidence over there. Okay, right now there's nothing. I kind of think I know what happened because I got information.
This wouldn't even be the end of YNW Bortlen's evidence getting brought up in YNW Melly's trial. We would see another forensic scientist that covered the passings go into further detail on YNW Bortlen having powder residue on his hands.
So the right hand of Cortland Henry contained 0 particles characteristic of powder residue and 2 component particles. And the left hand contained 1 particle characteristic of powder residue and 1 2-component particle.
Okay. And can you explain to us what that means?
Basically, overall, there was powder residue present on the hands.
If YNW Melly's team continues like this inside of the courtroom, YNW Bortlen might not have any other option but to snitch on YNW Melly, as they are constantly making Bortlen look like the suspicious one. He will want to look out for himself and give himself immunity by snitching on YNW Melly. As soon as it was time for YNW Bortlen to then be brought into the courtroom, so he was given his trial date for October 2nd.
Cortland Henry?
Yes, sir. He's present.
That you in the back of the
status conference.
Come on up.
And I guess you're already trial co-defendant right now. We're set for October 3rd for trial.
You had a motion pending as well?
Yes, Judge. As the court, when we were here the last time, you let him go to church and stuff, you said about working, you would be subject to seeing the schedule. We filed a schedule for the next couple of months.
I saw that.
Be able to work. And I talked to his probation supervisor. She has no problem with him at all. She said that if he's going to go to work, she'd like anybody has to do, provide an itinerary, where he's going to be, how he's going to get there, how it's going to get done.
We then heard lawyers report further talking about Bortlen, explaining why he was the one that received bond and not YNW Melly for all these years.
And he was able to negotiate a bond for him because of the charges that he was charged with, because they felt that he wasn't the man, and because of his prior criminal history, which I think was very sparse. So all those things went into whether or not he was going to be given a bond. I think at the time that the bond was being argued, there was the evidence that was being presented at his bond hearing was very difficult to kind of gel together in terms of, as you've seen during the trial, right? So there's a lot of things that are going on in the trial that you're like, wait a minute, this doesn't really gel. Some things are out of whack. And that's what happens at an Arthur hearing when you're moving for bond on this type of charge.
This reveals that the feds believed all the way from the start that YNW Melly was the one that did this crime and Bortlen didn't have that much of a part in it. However, with recent actions by Melly's lawyers, people are thinking differently. We would then even hear a lawyer answer a very important question.
Is it too late for Cortland to plea?
No, I don't think it's too late. It's never too late. I've had individuals been offered pleas but turned them down in the middle of trial. I've had people offered pleas before a verdict came back. So it just depends on the case, depends on the prosecutor, depends on the actual charges. So no, it's never too late for that. He could take a plea in the middle of his case. I don't think that would happen. If he was going to take a plea, if there was going to be a deal, it would be in the middle of Melly's case.
Ever since YNW Melly was originally locked up in the year 2018, it has been the YNW's group main priority to make YNW Melly look innocent. As even in the new lawsuit against Melly, it goes to read, defendant 100K Track assisted Melly and Bortlen with the collection and the disposal of the firearm that was used in the crime. As if it is true that 100K Track did dispose of the firearm, it makes the interview we did with DJ Academics feel very odd.
He built a real great solid team away from just being innocent because he wouldn't do such a crime. He prepared himself and got a proper, defense. Their job is to handle themselves in trial, not on social media. You guys are taking it that way. If they say they got DNA in a car, I'm just gonna tell you Melly DNA was found in the car. You're gonna think, yeah, his DNA was found in the car the day of the oh, he jumped in a car and his DNA was in the car, he did it. Okay, but you're not gonna put the fact that this was his car for 6-7 months on those documents and dockets and just automatically be like, yo, he's fried. You don't even know what the defense is. You don't even know what the rebuttal is. You don't even know why that situation occurred. You hear ballistics flying, you don't know what the defense is. You hear this, you hear that. You get what I'm saying?
I'm gonna be honest. As 100K Track states that YNW Melly has great defenses, which is true because there is no firearm. However, they never mentioned anything about YNW Bortlen having great defenses. Even YNW Melly's reaction to the evidence of no firearm was a little strange.
Why not?
So the first thing is I didn't have a firearm, so I can't know which firearm I'm going to use in order to replicate any of my tests. So I can't make tests for this determination because I don't know what was used.
Okay. Do you have a...
However, this doesn't change anything for YNW Bortlen as they haven't done anything to make him look like he's the innocent one. This is why YNW Melly looked so concerned when YNW Juvy's friend Trayvon would take the stand, as this doesn't favor Melly in any way. We would end up watching YNW Melly's lawyer argue for around 20 minutes that the prosecution are putting YNW Juvy's friend on the stand without good reasoning.
On the stand is knowingly, Judge. They knew in the deposition, 1. 2, they knew when I put them on notice with my motion. So they had the opportunity after the deposition, 2, after my motion pointing out we violated the rule of sequestration, just not to call them. They, however, are going to continue to proceed knowing he has violated the rule and put him on the stand. So yes, when you look at it that way, the state may be acting inappropriately.
As Trayvon was at the recording studio on that night, his job was to clarify if there was any tension between YNW Melly, Sakchaser, and Juvy. However, he would also share very concerning evidence against YNW Melly, which reads, YNW Melly's friend confirms Melly changed clothes at Fredo Bang's house on the night of the crime.
Okay. Was that the first time you saw Melly after you guys left the studio?
Yeah.
Was Melly wearing the same clothes or different clothes than when you saw him at the studio?
It was a new day. Nah, he wasn't.
Nah, he wasn't. You guys
Wasn't wearing the same clothes.
Okay. Do you recall what he was wearing?
Just had on some shorts.
Okay. And
due to this, the jury now knows that not only YNW Bortlen changed his clothing due to YNW Melly's lawyer announcing it inside of the courtroom 2 times, but now the jury knows that YNW Melly also had to change his clothing, almost as if Trayvon wanted to make it even between the two.